So living a life that matters. I literally put in Google, I was like, what is the meaning of matter? And matter means to be of importance or have significance. And honestly, to be of importance or have significance, like that is really up to the person, isn't it? Like everything that you've talked about today, it means that you have to mean, or you have to make something matter. So to live a life that matters means to live a life that meant something, right? It means to live a life that held meaning. But in order to do any of those things, you actually have to know what something means to you and what you want to give meaning to. Because there could be somebody right next to you. Like I'm looking at your little boxes on the screen here, and, Abby is next to Christina on my computer screen, and Christina's next to Liz, and Liz is next to Helen, and Helen is next to Karen. And all of you have placed completely different meaning on what something means to you. So something that could be of the utmost mind-blowing importance to you, this little person in your box next to you, Tiffany, it could literally mean nothing, right? How does that happen? And so, like our energy, we need to be responsible for the meaning. So the most fun part about speaking last is that I just get to say all the same things and lock it in again, because that's what this is. And if we really understood it, we'd be living it. Am I right? Like raise your hand that if you really understood it, we'd be living it. Okay. So that's why it's so important. I think this topic especially, and I love, love, love that it was chosen for this time of year, because what better way to go into the new year than to realize what actually means something for you and what doesn't. And that's something that we're going to go deep on as well. So in order to make a meaningful life, we also need to learn how to make a meaningful day. That's it. At the end of the day, we look at the macro, but if you really want to have serious meaning in your life, there needs to be a lot of micro meaning, which I almost wanted to say, like, do you remember the micro machines when you were little? So we have to have a lot of those little things scattered throughout the day in order for us to really feel like we have a lot of meaning in our life. And so essentially, the little things are going to become the big things. So what in the heck is the meaning of life? Have you ever sat and contemplated this? Like, those moments where it reminds me of those moments where, have you ever had those moments where you like say your name over and over again and all of a sudden it doesn't seem like it's ever been your name and you're like, what? Who's done that? Come on. Am I the only crazy person? Raise your hand. If you say your name over and over again, all of a sudden you're like, is that really my name? Has it always been my name? What is happening? I see some people laughing. That's like the meaning of life. Like you can sit long enough to just get so confused that you almost feel like your brain is about to explode. Because I want to show you, I want you to really grasp this, that if we believe that we have to make meaning out of everything, your mind actually can't handle it. Does that make sense? You actually will be overwhelmed. You will not be happy and you will not be able to grasp it. If you think that everything that comes your way needs to have a meaning, if you are constantly stuck in this, but what does it mean? What does it mean? Guess what? You make the meaning. I want to share with you a couple philosophies, a couple quotes, and a couple things that meaning means to other cultures that I thought was really interesting. So what is the meaning of life? It's pretty much what is it that makes us get up in the morning? And there was a 2019 study that found that people who can say, I have a philosophy of life that helps me understand who I am, all of those people were associated with fewer symptoms of depression and higher positive effect. So I just want you to think for 1 second. Do you have a philosophy? And this doesn't mean that you are listening to someone else's philosophy. It's people who can say, I have my own philosophy that helps me understand who I am in the world and how I operate. This is what is associated with fewer symptoms of depression, and they had a higher positive feeling about their lives. Because when things happen, right? When things happen that don't make sense, and they happen every day, raise your hand if something has happened today that didn't even make sense, that you're like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? There's so much pain in the world. People talk like this, or they treat people like this. Like, it's overwhelming, right? Like, if we try to make meaning out of all the things that are painful, you don't get to make the things that actually mean something to you meaningful, because you're focused in the wrong places. Okay, so I have a philosophy of life that helps me understand who I am and how I operate in the world. All right, so it gives you an aim. And when we have an aim, we have something to aim for every single day. Instead of, have you ever felt aimless, confused, and overwhelmed? It's probably because we don't have that philosophy. And we're going to go through and we're going to help you do this. So Viktor Frankl says, what man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. I loved this quote because in trying to live a life of meaning, I really loved that he pointed out that it's not about avoiding the problems. It's not about trying to, not or trying to be in resistance around the things that you don't love. It's truly about living and striving and struggling. He says it's for struggling for a goal worthy of him. Okay, I want to share with you one more kind of perspective on the meaning of life. And I loved this. Have you guys ever heard of, it's pronounced Ikigai? Have you ever heard of Ikigai? It's a Japanese theory, essentially. Okay, I want to share with you. I'm going to share this with you again for those of you who know. And if it's new to you, I've been doing a lot of research on it because of a book that I'm writing. And I'm really trying to actually figure out this exact topic, like what matters, what's the meaning of life, like what gets us going every single day. Because I don't know about you, but honestly, I have a lot of goals, but if I don't have something to focus on every day, it's really easy for me to get lost. Like I am very much like squirrel brain. Raise your hand if you're squirrel brain. Like you just can, something else looks interesting. And I find that when I'm not focused, I don't feel good. Who feels really like overwhelmed, and they can get a bit anxious or depressed if they don't have like a focus or something that's pulling them forward? Raise your hand if that's you. Okay. That's why I love this topic, is because you've learned so much from the prior speakers. And also it's just like this thing, like that philosophy of life that we were just talking about, right? This philosophy of meaning. It's this thing that you can grasp onto every day to measure against. Like, am I doing the things that are actually going to be meaningful to me? Do I have the things in my calendar that are actually going to be meaningful? So I want to read you this. So according to the Japanese, everyone has an Ikigai. An Ikigai is it means a reason for living. Ikigai means a reason for living. And according to the residents of the Japanese village, the Ogimi village in Okinawa Prefecture, it says it has the world's longest living people. And they found their key to a happier, longer life is having a strong sense of Ikigai. So this is a very well-known thing. You can ask anybody in this village what that means to them. And that is, they know their reason for living. And it says it's where what you love, what you are good at, what you get paid for, and what the world needs, it's where they all overlap. And that is how you infuse each day with meaning.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.